Good morning, baseball. It is your boy NMR Sports here, coming back at you with my lovely co-host Franklin P. Helmstetter. One of the last weeks that Frank will be in Seattle, man. You gonna miss it? You excited to move out to good old Colorado?
Yeah. I mean, I'll miss it, man. I don't know. I always got like friends here and stuff, but I don't know. I'm kind of ready to try something else out, get some sunshine in my life. You know how it is. A lot more days of sun, even just statistically in Colorado. So
Yeah,
excited for
I
that.
I
Yeah.
despise the sun. I'm not a big fan of it. I prefer dark and gloomy, but you will get some snow, which I'm very jealous of. So I'll have to visit you.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get a Frank and NMR snowboarding vlog this winter coming soon.
Yeah,
I'm
bro. Let's
just
do
saying,
it.
man. If enough people sign up with our sponsor, Thrive Fantasy, check it out at the link in our description. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. Shout out to my boy Chris Evans, not the Chris Evans, but the Chris Evans, my Chris Evans. He hit his first bet. My man signed up during the stream the other day. Apparently, a lot of people didn't know it's legal in California. There's a full list on their website of states it's legal in. It's legal in like 40 of them. Like there's very few states that it's not legal in. So all the big ones: New York, Florida, Texas. California, all those big ones. So sign up at Thrive Fantasy. First deposit match up to $100, as well as some free contest entries. All the details are in the description. Use code NMR and win some money with us. It's a good time. Big fan of it. Without further ado, I think it's time to head into it today. There weren't too many games. I think we're not going to do the daily games recaps from now on. We're going to go and do maybe like a weekly game recap. So we're testing some things out, So let us know your feedback in the comments. It helps a ton. But the first order of business today, man, the Home Run Derby participants are halfway through being released. We've got all the National League participants, and we have 0 of the American Leagues participants. So if you have been living under a rock, Juan Soto, Pete Alonso, Ronald Acuna Jr., and Albert Pujols, they were all announced to be Home Run Derby participants. So my first question, Frank, is should Albert Pujols be in the Home Run Derby? And is this good for baseball? Is this bad for baseball? What are your thoughts?
So I think like the idea behind it is obviously to kind of simulate the same. In the All-Star game, they got legacy players. So they're just kind of in there because they're, future Hall of Famers potentially. So I understand the idea behind it, but just in researching who I'd like to see in the Home Run Derby, there are so many National League players who I think would be so realistically just so much more exciting to watch. And I don't know, I could be wrong. Maybe Pujols will go out there and like make it through some rounds, I don't know. Maybe when they're lobbing it in there, he could still go pretty deep with it. But I don't know, man. Like I like to see Schwarber in there instead. There's so many. CJ Crone would be a good one. Goldschmidt. I mean, whether or not these guys would sign up to do it, if they're trying not to mess up their swing as they say, is a different question. But I just think there's so many more exciting players. So I don't necessarily think it's bad for baseball, but it is a little disappointing to have that, Soto. Uh, why am I blanking?
Yeah, Acuna, Pete Alonso. It's like the three-headed
Yeah,
dragon meme, where it's like the 3 scary dragons, and then Albert Pujols with the googly eyes. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm I I'm very surprised. Usually, it feels like there's a hometown guy every year in the All-Star in the Home Run Derby. What's his name? Todd Frazier won it when it was in Cincinnati. Pete Alonso. No, who is it? Yoenis Cespedes did it in New York. Actually, I think he was
Mhm.
on the A's at that point, but you get the idea. Bryce Harper won it with the Nationals when he was playing there in Nationals ballpark. So I'm kind of curious. I'm surprised we didn't get any Dodgers participants. Freddie Freeman would have been a good one. Max Muncy could have been a good one, even though he's having a down year. Cody Bellinger could have been a good one. There's a lot of Dodgers players. I'm really surprised none of them are in it, and the only Dodger affiliated player would be Albert Pujols in this. I
Yeah,
think it's going to be really boring, and I think he's going to get out almost immediately. It's like you said, it feels like he's robbing some of these guys that I'd really like to see. And speaking of guys that I would like to see in the Home Run Derby, I just wanted to go through some of our picks. Like, give me your dream field for the American League. Since they haven't been announced yet, we can speculate on it a little bit. if you could pick 4 players in the American League, doesn't matter if they've already come out and said, like, hey, I'm not doing the home run derby, your dream scenario, and then I also want to get your prediction, like, who do you think's actually going to do it? What do you got for me?
Yeah, I think I'd love to see Aaron Judge in there. That's not gonna happen, but it'd be cool. Same with Jordan Alvarez. Whether or not he would have done it if he wasn't hurt is a different question, but obviously he's out for this one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Stanton in there for sure. He's always exciting to watch. So I'd love to see him there. And then, I actually really want to see Julio Rodriguez, just that up and coming guy, man. Like he can hit for power. It'd be super cool to see him in there as well. I think two of those guys I can realistically see, potentially Rodriguez in there, and then Stanton. I think will definitely do it as well. So some other guys that I think realistically, we got George Springer maybe potentially could do it as well. I don't know, man. What are you thinking on this?
So my dream would be the MVP race. So Jordan Alvarez, Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, and then fourth one could be Mike Trout. It could be Rafael Devers. It could be Jose Ramirez, and also Giancarlo Stanton. I think that would be a phenomenal field. But if you get those 4 guys who are competing for the AL MVP, I'd love to see them how they interact with each other too. When like last year we saw Soto and Otani going at it in that home run off, whatever they call it. I love seeing how all these players interact during the home run derby too. So I think that would be such an exciting one. You
Yeah.
got all the Yankees players rooting for their boy Judge. You got Trout there actually at the All-Star game this time to watch Shohei, who I actually do think Shohei might do it. So let me give you, like I said, my dream would be Otani, Judge, Alvarez, and then fourth spot. As an Angels fan, I'd love to see Trout, but realistically, like Stanton. Stanton would hit, and he might, if he's in it, I'm going to be at the home run derby, bro. He might hit some to the parking lot, like well out of the stadium. He's done it in a game before he's hit one out of the
Yeah.
stadium, so I'd be really excited to see that. Realistically, though, I think Julio Rodriguez, I think you're right. I think Julio Rodriguez is going to do it, which is really exciting and also scary for Mariners fans because, Aaron Judge did it his rookie year, and he kind of had some struggles after the All-Star break, specifically with strikeouts. I think Stanton's going to do it. Judge has been very vocal. He doesn't want to do it, doesn't want to mess up his swing. So, but I think Stanton, he's already a home run hitter. He doesn't swing for singles, so he'd be fine with it. I'm really mad that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. won't do it. He'd be such a good home run derby participant. But so Stanton, Julio Rodriguez. Outside of that, it's so tough. I think Byron Buxton's going to do it.
That's a good one.
And outside of that, man, it's tough. I'm just gonna throw this one out there. I don't know if it's a great pick, but it just seems like a good fit for the home run derby because he was a borderline all-star. Anthony Rizzo, I think that would be a good fit. Get some more lefties in here too. We have Soto's the only lefty so far. So, and if my picks are there, he would be the only other lefty. So I think Rizzo would be a good one. Hitting some good home runs. Corey Seager's an option. I could see doing it, going back to LA. That'd be kind of cool. Rafael Devers, Jose Ramirez, Jared Walsh. Just throwing that one out there. Walshy. I'd love to see Walshy in a home run derby. I think it'd be great. But those are my realistic picks. So my dream picks, we already went over. My realistic picks, Byron Buxton, Julio Rodriguez, Giancarlo Stanton, and Anthony Rizzo. That's going to be my write that down. That is my prediction. That is my hot take right there.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's enough home run derby banter. Let's get into some of the stuff that happened last night in the game of baseball. Starting off with the Mets and the Braves, the marquee matchup of the night, the battle for the NL East. There's definitely been a lot of talk about the Braves and how they've been playing better baseball than the Mets. I had them at number 3 in my power rankings. Shameless plug. Go watch that video. Yankees fans were livid in the comments, bro. I put the Yankees at 4 because they were 500 last week. What? Come on, they were 500. You're playing 500 baseball. How am I going to have you at number 1? Anyways, the Braves I had as being better than the Mets, but the Mets 4-1 victory. Edwin Diaz closed it out for him. One of the hottest closers in baseball. Which one of these teams do you think is going to be more active at the trade deadline, and which one of these teams needs to be more active, in your opinion?
Sure. Well, I think both of these teams will be realistically. So I kind of did, in looking into it, I do know that the Braves are definitely, trying to get some starting pitching. So much like any team, I think Luis Castillo would be a great move for them. But it does kind of seem like he might be on a lock to be, heavily sought after by LA. So that's potentially a predicament there. I was also going to say Montas, but with his shoulder injuries, I know some teams are probably a little hesitant in that end. So yeah, other than starting pitching, man, I think the Braves could also potentially, with the way that Ozuna's been playing in left field, I think actually Whit Merrifield would be a good option for them. Sort of a little bit more of a cheaper option, and then put Ozuna maybe just in a more of a DH position there. So their lineup would still be good as well. But Merrifield definitely tops him in that defensive factor. So that I think could be a relatively good option. Just as I know that the Royals might potentially be looking to sell, I'm not really sure. And then Mets wise, man, I think the Mets have some of the better pitching in baseball, especially when they're healthy. So a lot of this does ride on DeGrom's rehab starts. But I think the Mets could definitely use a catcher. And so I think going after Wilson Contreras potentially could be good for them. Just given that McCann and a lot of their catchers have had a lot of injury. They're very injury prone recently. So picking him up, that'd be also a great ad for the lineup as well. Um, yeah, and I see both of these teams kind of going just as they're in that race, right, for this division and wild card spot. So I don't see either of these teams really selling any big names, but I'm not sure, man.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at.
No, I mean the only thing I could see, I don't think they would trade for a guy like Wilson Contreras, the Mets specifically, because they do have a top prospect catcher, Francisco Alvarez. And I'll be honest, man, I don't do a ton of prospect research. I'm not super. I mean, I'm more well versed than the average baseball fan, I guess. Francisco Alvarez is legit. This dude,
Mm-hmm.
he hit a home run off Jacob DeGrom in a simulated game earlier today.
Oh,
Like this dude can hit. This dude can hit major league pitching. I'm convinced that they brought him up today, he would be a stud. Like a la Julio Rodriguez, have that kind of an
okay.
impact on this team. So I'm really hoping they bring him up. And then outside of that, man, I really don't know how much the Mets need. I mean, it'd be nice if they could pick up like a major bat. I think Brandon Drury would
Mm,
be a really big help for them at third base. Third base has always seemed to be their hole in that infield. We got Pete Alonso at first. Francisco Lindor is fantastic. Jeff McNeil's fantastic at second base. Third base has always been
yeah.
kind of a struggle with them. JD Davis, I think, gets most of the starts over there. Outside of, I know they have another third baseman. I can't think of who it is off the top of my head, but I think Brandon Drew would be a great fit for that team because offense has been their main struggle in my opinion. And if they could find a big bat offensively, it'd be nice. I don't know, or in the outfield, I was saying. I don't know that there is one available that would suit them though, because they need a little bit more pop in that lineup. I feel they got a lot of guys who can, hit the ball well. Mark Canna hits the ball very well. Starling Marte hits the ball very well. But outside of Pete Alonso, they don't have a ton of 30 plus home run pop in that lineup. I feel like Brandon Drury gives a little bit more of that. Obviously, his numbers a little more inflated because he's been in Great American ballpark this year. So I think he would be a good fit, but he'd be a good fit for pretty much any team right now. And then the Braves. I think the Braves just need to go after some big bullpen arms. There are a lot of good ones on the table. The Pirates, I don't think, are actually that interested in trading David Bednar, from what I've heard. So he might be off the table, but a guy like David Robertson from the Cubs would be fantastic for them. Daniel Bard from the Rockies is an underrated free agent arm. If they could find a way to pry Joe Mantiply away from the Arizona Diamondbacks, he'd be a big pickup. They just need some more solid pitching in that bullpen. They got a lot of big names in
Yeah.
there, but Kenley Jansen's been a little shaky this year. Colin McHugh's been very shaky for them this year. They've I don't know. Overall, it just feels like they need you can always use bullpen depth. Every good team, the perfect teams can always use bullpen depth. The Dodgers can use bullpen depth.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to put my main source of concern there because I feel like their outfield's pretty stacked right now with Michael Harris and Ronald Acuna Jr. And then it's a little crowded there too with Duvall, Ozuna, and who's the other guy? Eddie Rosario as well. So,
Yeah.
assuming they all stay healthy, it's a little crowded out there. So, I think the bullpen's their main area they're going to address this trade deadline.
Yeah, it seems like just in general, the Braves, I don't know if you correct me if I'm wrong here, but it seems like they have a few different pieces that they could definitely put together. So potentially being, slightly more active just because, like you said, other than that core offense piece for the Mets, I think they're pretty set where they're at. And it's just really a question of how that pans out for them the rest of the season. But yeah, man, it was a good game today. I watched the end of it. So it's going to be a tight race between those two guys for sure.
Yeah, without a doubt. We'll have to see. Definitely expect both of them to be active, like I said. Kind of an opposite rivalry going on here. We're going to talk about the Royals and the red hot Detroit Tigers facing off in Kansas City. The Royals won game one and they're winning game two currently. I'm not sure if it's over yet since we started recording here. It is over and they went with the sweep. So a 7-3 victory in game two, 3-1 victory in game one. Tigers were on a hot streak heading into this game. Both of these teams have been disappointing for the last 5 to 6 years. Overall, which team who has a good young core of guys, good young prospects on both sides? You got Bobby Witt Jr. on the Royals, you got Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson and Casey Mize on the Tigers. Which of these teams do you have more faith in going forward? Which of these teams is, on a better track to win the Central in a couple of years? What do you think?
I think my first instinct is to say Detroit. I think their young core of guys is very impressive. But what I will say, and this is like kind of a caveat, I guess, is they're really tied down. I don't know how much of their payroll this is taking up, but that I don't know. I kind of feel like Baez is a little bit of a bust so far. I don't think he's as good as his contract of 6 years, $140 million that they're spending to have acquired him. I think if their young core of guys doesn't work, or there's some holes in that, I think they have less resources to work with than Kansas City does. So while I have more faith in Detroit, I think as it stands, if that doesn't work, I'm a little worried about their payroll being tied down to a contract like Baez's. Whereas I don't really see that with the Royals. But what are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I mean, there's no wrong answer here. Both of these teams, I feel like, are it's going to come down to who can build around their core the best. I think Bobby Witt Jr. has some of the highest ceiling I've ever seen in a shortstop prospect. And I love Riley Green. I'm not super big on Spencer Torkelson. I've been a little disappointed with him so far. But Riley Green seems to be the real deal. Definitely a stud over there, and they have a very good pitching staff in Detroit. So I'm definitely tend to lean more to Detroit's way. But I agree with you. I think Javi Baez has one of probably a top 5 worst contract in baseball as it stands right
Yeah.
now. He has been heating up a little bit, and he's contributed to a lot of their wins on this hot streak here. But overall, I just feel like the Tigers are in a little bit better scenario. The Royals, if they decide to go out and spend money, which they are very, very rarely do they do this. Even in their World Series window they had where they won, they didn't really spend a ton of money. They had a lot of in-house guys that were studs. That back end of the bullpen was amazing. They went out and traded for Johnny Cueto. That was their only big, addition. So I don't really see
Yeah.
the Royals spending big money. So I tend to think that the Royals aren't going to have enough for a couple of years now, whereas I could see the Detroit Tigers competing probably 2024. I wouldn't really give them a chance to compete next year, but they've shown that they're willing to go out and sign some guys. You saw Eduardo Rodriguez signed last offseason, as well as Javi Baez. So wouldn't surprise
Totally.
me a bit if they were competitive in the near future. They just had a really rough start to this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, we reached our last topic to talk about today, and that is a former top prospect turned superstar who has just not been able to stay healthy, not been able to stay on the field. That is Wander Franco of the Tampa Bay Rays. Now, we've talked about the Tampa Bay Rays having a little bit of struggles as of late, and then they get hot and we forget about it. Then they struggle, they get hot. Wander Franco's been out. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks, or 5 to 8 weeks, sorry, with wrist surgery. And I just want to know, is this going to be the straw that broke the camel's back and get them out of postseason contention, or is this just another bump in the road for the Rays, who have been, just finding a way to make the postseason every single year?
Yeah, I mean, you sure said it kind of there, honestly. What I was gonna say is this Rays team seems to be one of the more resilient, if not the most resilient team I've seen in the past, 5 years. So I really, really think that as much of a blow that this is for, just personally speaking for Franco and for the team, obviously this is going to set them back a little bit. Just not having him in the lineup. But I really think that they're still in really good hands with the group of guys they got. They got McClanahan, probably, my Cy Young favorite at the moment. So they've got a lot of good guys. They always, like you said, you've said this before, but they always seem to kind of just be able to scrap things together, and they got a lot of talent there. I've kind of, watching them play the Red Sox and some division rivals, I've seen. I feel really confident in this group, so I think they're definitely gunning for a wild card spot and potentially second place in the East. And so, yeah, I mean, it's a bummer, but I definitely don't think that it's the end of the line at all.
Okay, I mean, well, they're a team that they'll do what they need to get done. They'll get done what they need to get done. That makes sense.
Yeah.
They'll go out. Last year they got Nelson Cruz. They, picked up Jordan Luplow. I can't remember if that was off waivers or whatever it was, but they seem to find these guys who, and they'll play matchup games too. Like Jordan Luplow, I don't think ever had at a bat against a right-handed pitcher with them. He was just a strictly lefty murderer, and it worked. He had a grand slam off Chris Sale in the playoffs, so they'll find some guys. I know Yu Chang was hitting for them today. I didn't even know they picked him up. I'm a big Yu Chang guy. Yu Chang's got some potential, man. They got Yu Chang and Ji-Man Choi over there, some Asian legends there, but they'll find a way. They always do. I agree. This isn't that big of a setback, but it is a big blow, man. We know what it's like to be missing superstar level talent when it gets injured. So we will have to see.
Yeah.
But we also know that a superstar player can't win every single game for you. So I tend to agree with you. I don't think that this is going to set them back very much, and I think they're still a postseason team. I would lock that in. I have no doubt in my mind that this team's going to be playing in October.
Yeah, they got a really strong core group of guys, and kind of like just to, because you were alluding to it really fast. I think what's successful about this team is they're one of those teams that has a lot of pretty solid, decent, average guys. Whereas that's something that our Angels really don't have. So we have superstars, but we don't really have the rest of that. So the Rays have that, and I think that's what makes them successful. So losing a big piece like Wander Franco isn't the end of the world.
Yep.
But yeah, I think they're going to be fine.
And it wouldn't be an episode of Good Morning Baseball without a little stab at the Angels there.
Just a little salt.
Yeah, exactly. Just sprinkle a little on there. Well, that is going to do it for us today here at Good Morning Baseball. Thank you for joining me, as always, Frank, and thank you guys for watching. If you guys want to do us a huge favor, hit that like button down below, help it reach more baseball fans, today's episode of Good Morning Baseball, and hit that subscribe button. More daily MLB content coming your way. I'm going to be out at the All-Star Game. Unfortunately, Frank won't be there with me, but we'll talk all about it when we get back. Frank might do so. I haven't asked him this yet, but I'm going to ask him on stream right now. He might be doing some editing for me, possibly, if he has free time. We'll have to see, but it's gonna be a good time. He's gonna help me out, so we appreciate you guys watching. Don't forget to sign up at Thrive Fantasy. Get that free moolah. Go bet with that free money. It's free money. What are you doing sitting around here for? Click the link right now. Go do it. Anyways, appreciate you guys watching. I will see you all in the next one, and have a great rest of your day.